So I'm going to ask all of you respectively. I'll start with Councillor Lafortune. Will you commit right now to voting to defund the police? And if so, how much will you commit to defunding?
I am committed to reallocating funds from the police department into social services. I think in terms of the amount, I want to see what the community has stated, and also to look at the budget to see where the need exists, because I also want to be strategic about it, and to think about what areas within our city we need to support more. Affordable housing is a big thing. We have, again, as I stated earlier, we have a housing stock issue. We just don't have enough affordable housing in our city. We need safe, clean housing for our community members. So that's one area that I would love to see more investment go into. As a Providence Public School individual, and who's a parent of one student who just graduated and another one who's going into fourth grade, I want to see more investment in our schools and in our students. Investment in programs that is supporting our students' academic achievement, that's supporting arts programs. I went to Nathaniel Green Middle School. We had a robust, arts program, which I was exposed to ballet and theater through this initiative. I'm a kid from Southside Providence, an immigrant kid. I never went to the theater with my family. We couldn't afford those things. And so that was my exposure. And for many kids, it's transformative. So we have to invest in our youth. And also someone mentioned summer job opportunities, which is something I've continuously advocated for in the past. There's been efforts to cut that budget. Both Councilwoman Anthony and I have stood in support of it, and also our arts and culture department, because we also have a robust arts culture and community in Providence, and people live off of that, off of the art industry. And so we need to support it and to help it thrive. But more importantly, people need places to live in. And most of our community members are cost burden, which they're paying over 30% of their income in housing. And when we look at our city with a median income of $40,000, most people can't afford to live here.
Thank you so much for that answer. Same question goes for you, Councillor Anthony. Will you commit to voting against any budget proposed that does not defund the police? And if so, how much will you commit to defunding the police?
Okay, I am very supportive of reallocation of some of the police funds. I will say that directly. I can't give you the amount also at this point, just because I am still gathering information. I am very, very interested in, I will tell you, we had a meeting just the other night in finance on the Cahoots program in Eugene, Oregon. It was an interesting, we had several groups come in and present on some other, again, addressing these issues about not having police respond to social problems, creating some other model that could address those issues. That would be one of the things I'm looking at for sure, because I don't know whether it's a community response team. I don't want it to be based in public safety or the police department. I think it should be a community-driven response team. We have a wonderful network of nonprofits here that provide all sorts of mental health, homeless, all sorts of services. So I feel like we need to grade, coordinate, and align those services and try to figure out how to make sure that the police don't have to respond to those issues. So that's what I'm specifically looking at right now, but there maybe other areas also, but I am in favor of reallocating some of the police budget.
Finally, same question to you, Councillor Gonzalez.
Sure, so I'm committed, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm committed to doing that work, to reallocating police funding, like my colleagues have suggested, towards housing, homelessness, social services, jobs. we want our neighborhoods to be safe, secure environments for our children, our families, our seniors in our community, and we have to envision a world ideally without policing. And we're navigating a very complex political process. From a legality perspective, it's hard to do that. So we're trying to address these issues in many different ways. But what I want to say is we need to really center the conversation around our communities, and specifically our communities of color. So people, especially people of color and their white allies, are incredibly exhausted about the fatal collision between law enforcement and Black and brown Indigenous people of color in our society. They're tired of the legitimate trauma of one too many African Americans being senselessly killed at the hands of police. Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, Atiana Jefferson, Tamir Rice, who else? Eric Garner, Michael Brown, Trayvon Martin, Philando Castile, and many more. And these are people who have a lived experience of disadvantage and lack of investment. And in these cases, it results in death simply as a result of their color, the color of their skin. And we have to say enough is enough. George Floyd's death is a continuation of a long history of systemic injustice, discrimination, criminalization, and quite frankly, dehumanization of Black lives in our country since its founding. And so I think it's incumbent on us as local leaders, rooted in community, to undo this legacy of bigotry, and as Councilwoman LaFortune mentioned, a legacy of laws, and really examine our laws and create a future where our kids can learn and grow to lead lives of empathy without hate and fear of being different, in a future where kids aren't over policed and they can live in a world free of racial tension and division, free of bias and bigotry. So based on what's been articulated tonight, it's quite simple. Instead of putting more funding into policing, trying to solve some of our social problems, as my colleague had just shared, we need to look at the city's budget, and we need to figure out more ways of investing in communities, especially marginalized communities. We need to think about effectively addressing the underlying challenges that contribute to what we call so-called crime, like poverty and homelessness. These things shouldn't be criminalized. And this would be achieved by, cutting these often astronomical budgets on a city level that are, dedicated towards policing, and think about how we fund social services. So, we need a holistic approach, and that is going to be a conversation that we continue to have with members of our community. We need to think about social workers, trained psychologists, conflict interrupters, restorative justice teams who are better equipped with people's mental illness and can mediate situation where no one's safety is being threatened. So shifting resources towards addressing community needs isn't a radical idea. And so I think we have to, keep our head in the game. We have to fight as hard as we can, and I'm committed to doing that work.
I'm sorry, I just want to follow up, and this will be a quick follow-up, to all three of you, and then also Council President Matos. So I very much agree with the sentiments that all of you have expressed, but I just want to get a yes or no answer to this question, because your jobs in this specific community forum is to be accountable to voters and residents of your wards. Yes or no, Councilor Gonsalves, will you commit to voting against any budget that does not reallocate funds from the police to other social services if it comes to a vote?
Can you repeat the question just one more time? I just want to make sure I have it correct.
So in your capacity as a council member, will you commit to voting against any budget that does not defund or take some funds from the police and reallocate them to social services for fiscal year 2021?
I will commit to voting against any budget that, yes.
Okay. Councillor Anthony?
Yes.
Councillor LaFortune?
Yes, it's not the first time I didn't vote in favor of the budget.
And Council President Matos?
Oh, she's not here.
She's not here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you should ask her that question as well.
I absolutely will.
Yeah. Thank you, Hal. So it's a little after 7, so I just want to kind of close it out. And again, thank everyone for participating. And this is nothing new. Our Black community in general have experienced various forms of inequity and racism throughout centuries. I recently was reading Souls of Black Folks by W.E.B. Du Bois, which is of Haitian descent like me. And he talks about, the whole book is about what happened post-Emancipation Proclamation. And basically what his argument is that nothing really was done to free the formerly enslaved, because the lack of investment in the Black community prevented them from progressing. And there were many challenges and barriers in terms of policies, in terms of funding, that hindered their ability to progress in this nation. Martin Luther King has been talking about investing in social services for quite some time. And so this is nothing new. People have been saying enough is enough for quite some time. And as a Black woman, someone who's also experienced various forms of injustice. In fact, I've shared on many occasions that I was pulled over in my own ward and told that I looked like some kid who apparently maybe was a drug dealer, who knows. And so just because I'm an elected official, at the end of the day, I'm still a Black woman, and I will be treated accordingly. And my goal is to change policy and to create a system that's equitable for all people, regardless of their race, regardless of their socioeconomic background, regardless of their immigration status. Everyone should have a pathway to success, to become citizens, and to be a part of this beautiful community that many of us have worked so hard to create, and all of you play a role in it. And so I truly appreciate all of you and my colleagues for joining me, as well as the facilitators for the amazing job. And I look forward to reading all of your input. And if you want to talk to me or any of our the other council members, my email is nearvaward3@gmail.com. We'll send a follow-up email with all of our contact information, and feel free to reach out. But I hope to see many of you at our in some of our finance committee meetings. And there already has been conversations around creating an initiative here. I've been meeting with Angie and Koma from United Way, Becky from Trinity Rep, Danielle, who was someone who worked for Cahoots in Eugene, Oregon. And this morning, I met early this morning at 7:30. I met with Lieutenant Zachary from the fire department, who actually worked on a proposal before COVID-19 around mental crisis response. And so there's things that are brewing, and we hope to embed your input in the decisions that we make going forward. So thank you all, and have a wonderful night.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Thank you. This is Lydia Matos. I'm sorry, I was trying to speak up. So yes, my answer is
The
yes.
council president.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
what did you say? Can you say that
I'm
again?
so sorry. I didn't realize you were here.
My
Hi.
answer is yes. I'm sorry, I was trying to edit the audio.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you all. Bye.
you.